Hey, what's up guys? This is the new Fire TV Cube, 3rd generation, just came out. Let's go ahead and unbox it and review it. So, starting off, they've improved quite a bit of things. Well, actually more like 3-4 things, but I feel like it's a pretty good improvement based on what I've seen. So first of all, this thing is more powerful. It has a octa-core CPU, an 8-core CPU with an 800 megahertz GPU. So both the CPU and GPU have been upgraded, and for a frame of reference, they say it's twice as fast as the Fire TV Stick 4K Max, which I've reviewed in the past. In fact, I'm actually going to review this versus the 2nd generation, the one I reviewed last year, and the Fire TV Stick 4K Max in a separate video. So definitely subscribe so you guys know when that video comes out. It will be coming out pretty soon, actually. So, looking at this right off the bat, it looks really nice. It kind of has an echo feel. I much prefer this over these sharp sides. Not that you're grabbing this all the time, but honestly, the sides are almost razor sharp, and yeah. Plus, this thing kind of scratches easily. I don't know if the camera's catching that, but I haven't even touched this much, but it's a finger magnet, and it scratches kind of easily because of the glossy black. However, functionality wise, you have the same button. So you have the mute button, so Alexa won't listen to you. You have your volume up down buttons, and you have your action button. But overall, much improved. Now, looking at the back of this thing, this is where some of the improvements come into play. Now, just as a heads up, I am going to be using some Alexa commands, so if you don't want to trigger your home speakers, please mute them. So now that we have them side by side, the new one has a few extra ports that the old one does not, and they're welcomed ports. First of all, it has an HDMI input, the first ever on the Fire TV, and with this you can actually hook up your cable box, for instance, and control it via Alexa, assuming it is a compatible cable box, which you could check on Amazon for compatibility. But assuming it is, you can say, Alexa, tune to ESPN on cable, as an example. Now, if you don't have a cable box like me, you can actually hook up a console or something else to it. So, in my case, I'm actually going to hook up my PS5 because this is an HDMI 2.1 port, so in theory, it can actually support 4K 120 frames per second, which is something I'm going to test. And another useful thing about this is if you're running out of HDMI ports on your TV and you're hooking this up, this one is really taking a one port for really 2 devices. That's another way of looking at it. Okay, so you have your HDMI out, goes to your TV, IR extender for the remote if you need it, it's optional. Power port, you have a full-size USB-A port, so if you want to increase your storage, you can. It does have 16 gigabytes internally, however, a part of that, I think 5 or 6 gigabytes of that is being used for the operating system and some of the apps. The other thing is you can hook up a USB camera to this and make video calls should you choose to. So again, very cool things you can do right off the bat without any additional dongles or anything else. And speaking of dongles, you don't even need one of those to hook up via Ethernet. However, this is not gigabit Ethernet, it is limited to 100 megabits per second. This is the first of its kind to have Wi-Fi 6E built in, assuming you have one of the newer routers, which I've reviewed a whole bunch of them. In fact, I have a huge comparison video. Now, if you don't have one of these routers, not to worry. This is backwards compatible with previous wireless standards, so you should be good to go either way. So we get our power plug, standard stuff here. It is a 15 watts. It is 100 to 240 volts. This is the power plug, very similar to the one for the 2nd generation. And this is probably the IR extender if I had to guess. Oh, there's nothing in here. It's a magic box. And some instructions. These things are pretty easy to set up, especially if you've had one before. It kind of transfers your settings over. So super simple. You get some AAA batteries with this. You get the remote, which is a slightly larger remote. Yeah, so it's slightly larger than the one from last year, so it has a few extra things on it. But yeah, I mean, still very similar. There is a Pro remote coming out in mid-November, which I've ordered, so I'm definitely going to review that as well. That one lets you do a few extra things like find my remote and stuff in case if you lose it, which does tend to happen to me. So it's kind of a nice feature, but essentially, yeah, you have the Alexa commands, you could navigate through the menus, home, menu button, go back, fast forward, all that other stuff, and the dedicated app buttons. So pretty cool, and yeah, should be 2 AAAs which are included, and that's about it. I got my Fire TV Cube set up super simple since I already had one. It imported the settings over, so I got my Wi-Fi settings, parental controls, and it downloaded all the apps, but I did have to relog into the apps. So let's just do a quick UI speed test so you guys could see it's pretty smooth when I'm scrolling through things. It's loading up very, very quickly, which is what I would expect from this thing with the upgraded processors. Now, if I wanted to load up, let's just say Netflix, click on this. If I want to play a movie, let's say Rush Hour, click play. Let's just see how fast things load. So you can see it loads fairly quickly. I mean, this is also dependent on your internet speed as well. So let's click play. So I would say that's a pretty quick load if I fast forward and stuff. So very, very quick, which is always a good thing. Now, because this has essentially Alexa built in, I don't even have to use the little blue button on the remote to actually access things. But on that note, I can also change the wake word. So in my case, I've changed it to Echo, but you can use Alexa, Amazon Echo, or computer from any one of these choices, and then that would be the keyword. So if let me show you guys something else that's kind of useful. If you have Ring cameras throughout your home, you can also say Echo, show front yard. So it basically loads your footage and it shows you a live thing. You can also talk into it. You can also set it to picture-in-picture. And you can, again, say the command. You could say Echo, dismiss picture-in-picture. You can also ask random things like, what's 5 times 210? What is that, 1050? Yeah. So 1050 will tell you, shows up on the screen. So it's kind of nice, very useful and stuff. You can also say, open Netflix, and it'll open up Netflix. You can also say, play Bad Guys, which is on Prime Video. So it showed up Prime Video, and I selected Prime Video, and it started to play it right away. Now, here's another thing. I have my PlayStation 5 hooked up, and if I go to input, I select HDMI, it'll actually switch over to that HDMI, and my PlayStation is on right now, so it should show it. Now, I'm actually in the video output information, but let me actually just go back so you guys could see. So my PlayStation 5, if I go to settings, again, if I go to screen and video, if I click on video output information, even though this has HDMI 2.1, it cannot support 4K 120 frames per second. So you can see underneath HDR supported, it shows you a list of frequencies, and it goes up to 60 Hz max. I think because the device itself can't go 4K 120, it's not going to allow the PS5 to pass through it at 4K 120, only up to 4K 60 from what I've seen. I don't know if there's going to be a firmware update to fix this, or maybe it's just a hardware limitation on the Fire TV Cube itself. And then if I just press the home button, it'll go back to the Fire TV Cube. You can also hook up Bluetooth headphones to this and listen to it over headphones. You can also connect other things like remotes, keyboards, and mice. For displays and sounds, this thing can also upscale stuff. So because I have a 4K TV, if I'm watching something that's the source of it is 1080p, technically this can upscale it. I don't think it's going to be perfect because honestly it's hard to do, to go from 1080p to 4K, but it does try to do its best, and you would just go to super resolution and turn that on. Let's jump into Luna, which is Amazon's cloud gaming service. And so up on the top, you also get these app shortcuts. And in fact, let me show you one other thing. So if there's an app you want to use and you use it a lot, let's just say you like Disney Plus and you want this kind of up there, you can basically hit the little menu button and click move, and then you can organize this and put it here, for example, and it'll show up on the main screen here, and you should be good to go. But let's go over Luna, and I just wanted to show you guys. Now this is cloud gaming, so it's more dependent on your internet connection and the connection has to your router more than anything else really. Now Luna is a service that Amazon offers, that it's a subscription service that I have, so it allows me to play a decent number of games for a relatively low price monthly. But this is what you can expect from this. So all of these games are available in the subscription, and I'll cut to a scene where I'm playing 1 or 2 games so you guys could see what it looks like. And finally, let's do the speed test, just so I show you guys. So I am connected to Wi-Fi 6E right now, and if I just hit the recently played buttons, let me click test again. So it's gonna do a speed test and we'll see how fast it is. So between Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E on this specific device, there's not a huge amount of difference, but I mean, the cool thing is that on Wi-Fi I'm actually getting faster speeds than now if I were to hook up via Ethernet, because Ethernet would be capped at 100 megabits per second, whereas Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E can go much faster. So I got 357 down. Now let's actually go to Wi-Fi 6, and every time I do the speed test, it fluctuates a bit. So sometimes it's over 400, sometimes it's a little bit less. So it really depends, but they're roughly within the same territory of pretty much around the mid 300s to the low 400s. And for something like this device, that's not really much of a difference in speed, because when you're watching a movie or a video or whatever and you're watching it at 4K, again, there's not too much of a difference. So it looks like Wi-Fi 6 is even a tad bit faster on this speed test than Wi-Fi 6E was. But essentially, they're right around the same speed. So if you get this and you're like, hey, should I get a Wi-Fi 6E router? Just for this, I personally don't think it's worth it, and that's why I did the speed test. This makes any TV into really a smart TV. That's its main function. So if you have subscriptions like Netflix, Crunchyroll, HBO Max, things like that, it's awesome. If you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, which I have, it's also awesome for that as well. So it's very easy to get to your menus. You can play things right away. You can also use the voice commands with the wake words. You can change the wake words. So I really like it. It's something that I've been using for some time now. Especially I was using the older Fire TV Cube, and honestly that was fine. And on the other TV I also used the Fire Stick 4K Max, which is also great. So all of these are just awesome for the prices you pay and what you get. Let me know what you guys think in the comment sections below, and as always, smash that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.